Okay. Yeah, before the reading, I just wanted to, um, let you guys know that, uh, I've recorded hundreds of videos for this channel that I've never released. Many of those videos were just one or two at a sitting. It takes me a very long time to set up, to get into the mood to record. And then I record them and I see or hear something that I'd rather not put out. I'd rather not have that kind of influence on you guys. I know there are some tarot card readers that are very, very accurate. And I promise you, from the bottom of my heart, I try not to watch. I try not to watch them. Because, it's one thing to know that the tarot and astrology exist, that they're real. It's another thing to entertain them, to keep trying to get information out of it. Because if you really think about it, they should not be real. They shouldn't work. Before I got into astrology, you couldn't pay me to look up my own birth chart. It's just so preposterous. The notion of planets so far away affecting us in any way, it really is ludicrous. But somehow it's real. If you would have told me before I found out, I would have told you that you need to see a doctor. I would have thought, at the very least thought to myself, that you need to see a good doctor. My father passed away, and my mother had advanced knowledge of it. The psychic told her that a very important male from her life, that something would happen. And it turned out she used astrology and tarot. Again, before this, I never entertained it. It's crazy to think about that any of this could possibly be real. But then I found out, and it absolutely is real. I would think a lot, like, what kind of, what is this reality? Tarot has no right to work. It has no right to be real. No right. So what kind of reality is this again? I don't think that looking into astrology more and more and more and trying to figure out what's going to happen is the right course of action. Just understanding what kind of reality we live in, that something like this is possible, should give you should give you a spark of hope, maybe, that anything is possible, including this reading or that reading not being your future, astrology not being your future. And it's very hard for me after so long to, truly come to this conclusion, but I have. That you are the creator, that you have the power, not anything around you, not anything outside of you, and to never give that power away. We are so lucky to be here, to experience this. So lucky. And, sometimes I would be very much influenced by a reading to my detriment. Waiting for something bad to happen that a reader who I, really respect say something bad is going to happen over the course of the next month, giving you a very vague explanation here, and nothing happening. Same thing with something very good happening and nothing happening. It's very easy, accurate to read past and current energies, but always take future energies with a grain of salt or skip them altogether. I would honestly recommend not watching tarot at all. I can recommend you some channels that I watch that are very, very helpful, that will change your life. It's very hard for me. This is what I considered my career, what I wanted to be my career. I do think that no one in the world is more open, or more conditioned rather, to the impossibilities of this reality, that being tarot and astrology. It's impossible. And those of us who have been involved with it throughout the years should take a second to think about the ramifications of their existence. Because you guys are the ones most capable on this planet of really changing your lives, of really understanding that this isn't possible. If this is real, if this is possible, what else is possible? And I'm here to tell you that anything is possible. It all depends on you, on your reaction to it. If something bad happens and you don't react to it in the regular way, you accept it and allow it to occur without a reaction from you, knowing that everything happens for you, not to you, but for you, then everything changes. It's I'd like to say that it's very easy to do, but it wasn't easy for me to realize this reality is so real. It's so real. All these things that happen to us are so real. But if you take a second to just look at your dog or your cat, look around how perfect everything is. It's very easy. It really is very easy to start to understand what this is all about. If we're all God, then, God can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. He's infinite, and being able to do whatever he wants, he can spend years indulging in, pleasure. But eventually you have to stop. You have to stop that in order to take that breath and, have some sort of, gauge what just happened. To be able to gauge what just happened, all the pleasure, you need to exhale. And I can't think of a better way to surprise himself, to surprise God, than live half your life and not knowing this, not knowing that you are the God, and then discovering it. Growing up, I had very bad anxiety. It was very hard for me to go to school, to talk to people. Because everything in my mind was just so perfect. Every person, even the ones that I didn't particularly like, they all had something about them that made them just more, I felt that they were more natural than me. Okay. I may continue this if you guys want to comment. I'm going to perhaps make more of these videos where I talk about this. This is the most important thing in the world to talk about. I really did, for the last few years, speculate rather, that astrology and tarot would wake the world up. Helping people, conditioning people towards believing in the impossible. Yeah. I still very much believe that. I really do just want you guys to know that, to not take this too seriously. Thank you. Okay, Aries, you're the number 43 card. Very interesting. Yeah, Aries, I feel like some of you may perhaps be putting a little bit too much maybe putting a little bit too much emphasis on putting a little bit too much emphasis on how others perceive you. Maybe you feel like you have to fill someone's, follow someone's footsteps or fill someone's shoes. It's possible that some of you guys may be overtly concerned with how you look, with what you drive. This card is trying to, I do this myself. But this card is trying to remind us that we are all one. And by feeling like you have to look a certain way or, work a certain job, you're immediately agreeing with the concept of dual polarity, that there is a separation, that there is some sort of schism, when in reality there isn't. And the longer that we do it, it's not bad to do it, we'll eventually learn, but the longer that we do it, the longer we are going to experience this energy of feeling separate, of being separate. This card is trying to tell you that, if you meditate, if you go within for a few minutes a day, it will be shown to you that we are in fact all one, that you are God. Okay, wow. That's very interesting. You have the number 31 card. You have this reader here. She looks like a fortune teller. Looks like a fortune teller from the 1800s or something like that. She has this crystal ball in front of her, and it contains a key, if you can see that. Yeah, I feel like this card is trying to maybe predicting that there's going to be some sort of message or information that you hear that really changes things for you. It's very interesting how viewers, tarot viewers, view a reading and then become potentially scared afterwards. They hear something they don't want to happen, maybe makes them paranoid or something like that. What they fail to realize, what they fail to think about, is that they just watched a fortune. They just watched, energies that they're experiencing being read out by cards, by paper cards. That they live in a reality where something like this is possible, or the impossible is possible. Where anything is possible. And then they go and they're upset that whatever they just read or saw is in fact going to occur in their life. Again, without really taking into account, that anything is possible, that you don't have to experience that. You know what I mean? It's like planets, stars, millions, billions of miles away from us affecting us. It's not possible. It is possible, right? We all know that it's real. It's unquestionable that it's real. We should try to, reflect on the ramifications of astrology and the tarot's existence rather than taking it as the end-all be-all. I highly recommend every person in the world to, get a natal chart reading, to have a forecast read out or their current energies read out, but then leave it at that. That's all you need to know. All you need to know is that this is possible, that we exist in a reality where this is possible, where the impossible is possible. And that's all you need to know. You don't need to look into astrology more. You don't need to look at cards any longer, because you know the secret. Yeah, this key here is the knowing that anything that you desire, you have. You will have, but you really do have it right now. If you just let go, let go of the fear. This reality that we live in is so beautiful. There have to be these fearful moments, these illusions, because what they are is really illusions of separation. You have to have these moments in order to, for your soul, for your spirit to evolve. You have to somewhat take this reality seriously. It's how it works. I can go into great detail about this. If you guys want me to make a video, I would love to get all these thoughts in order and present them to you. But yeah, that really is the key. Living life fear-free. I really do feel like that's what this card is talking about. She's this fortune teller and she has this key. It's like the tarot, astrology. It really is the key. It really is a tool. But it's always, in this reality, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Astrology and the tarot proving, without a doubt, that we live in a reality where anything is possible, including tarot card readings not playing out the way that readers say they're going to play out. So please keep that in mind, that it's entirely up to you. Thank you.